Yo, JD here, Limits, and as you can see, we are back on F1 2021 here today, and in this video, this is something I haven't done myself for a very long time, and this is the latest F1 Esports qualifying event. This is event number 2. This is at Hungary for the F1 Esports 2022 season. And last time I did this was back in 2018, where I qualified for it myself. Took 3 attempts to do it. I went through with the controller at Spain in the wet, where I won the race by I think over 10 seconds. So it was quite a dominant race, but the pad was very, very overpowered in those conditions. And then that's when I entered the world of F1 Esports, being signed by Renault Sport Team Vitality as a driver, and it was from there. So a lot of people have been asking me to do this event. I haven't done it in recent years because I just haven't needed to or really had a desire to. But Hungary is a track that is actually surprisingly quite a good track for me, so I thought, why not? I think it's the top 5 or top 8 that go through. I'm not too sure, not 100%, but please make sure if you want to sign up to F1 Esports, make sure you sign up on the website first, otherwise your times won't be registered. But you can see here, this is my very, very first attempt, and hopefully again that this gives you a perspective of what it really takes. And you can see in this event here, you're in P5 with about 9 laps to go. Lewis Hamilton on the medium tyres, and you have to get up to 3rd position, but the AI, 110 AI, are quite easy, so you should get past them quite quickly, and you'll be able to see this. And then when I show you my best run at the end of how much difference it is, like at the moment I haven't even got past Alonso yet, when in reality you wanted to overtake him about 3 corners ago. So in these events, it's about how fast you can go across the event itself. You get more points for the harder AI you use, so you always really want to be setting it to 110 AI, otherwise you don't really have a good chance of going through. Making sure you use no assists. You can still use the racing line. It doesn't actually punish you for using the racing line, I believe, which I feel it should do because it is turned off in F1 Esports. But if you use traction, ABS and stuff like that, it will deduct points. You will get a big points improvement if you set a better, faster lap than some others, because that's why sometimes you see on the leaderboard other people actually have slower times. Oh, sorry, faster times than people ahead of them. But the reason why the other people are ahead of them is because they've actually got a faster lap despite having a slower overall time. And you can see at the moment our fastest lap is only an 18.0, which it didn't feel too bad. This is my very, very first run. Always recommend someone to just complete a full run first, no matter how good or bad it is, just see where your reference point is. You can see now we've done a 17.4, catching Vettel at the end of this lap, overtaking them here, which you will see in my best run isn't really the way to do it, because you want to try and overtake people as efficiently as possible in these events. And most of the time these kind of events don't really suit me, because my strength is to manage my tyres and the race, manage my ERS, knowing when to push, knowing when not to. But in these F1 Esports qualifying events, you really have absolutely no choice but to push as fast as you can, and that's how easily things can crumble as we do a massive sigh of relief. But you can see we kept on attempting it more and more, and after each time you will find what is the best way for you and how much you can improve. So go down the inside of Alonso, so making an improvement than we did on the last time. Let's see where we catch Sainz now, catch him in the middle sector. And I didn't look at anyone else's qualifying run going through this. It's all about how fast you can go, because you don't have to overtake people at exactly the same spot, but typically the fastest times will have a general trend of where you want to be overtaken. And I quickly realized that you really needed to overtake Alonso very, very early. As you can see, we're coming up to Vettel. So this is my first complete run that I actually did. And I'm catching them not in the right places. And that's the thing with these events as well, is that sometimes you have to catch people in the right place. Really push hard as hell to make sure you catch people in the most efficient part of the track. And also getting quite lucky with lapped traffic as well, because the AI don't behave exactly as they did the previous time you actually attempted it. So you can see we've got a little bit of traffic going up ahead. Sometimes that traffic might be a lot closer. Sometimes it might be a little bit further away, as we're actually overtaking Ocon round the outside. So again, isn't really probably the best place to be overtaken. Going across the line, it's a 17.4. And this run here, this is my first fully complete run. I didn't feel was too bad at all. I thought it was actually really, really good. But again, like with a time trial, like when you're attempting the world record, you will see how much time you can actually gain by just putting in the time as well and just developing that confidence. Pushing that extra 10th wall per quarter, it really, really does add up to a significant amount. As we're coming around the last quarter now, let's see what time this is going to be. It's going to be a 17.0, so definitely improving on the fastest lap quite nicely. Now coming into the last corner of the last lap, still haven't improved on that 17.0, but I actually felt this wasn't a bad attempt. I thought this was actually fairly solid. To come across the line, 17.1 last lap, using all of the ERS. And now we're going to see where does that place me on the leaderboard. So it's a 96 minutes and 18 seconds. And we will see what the fastest time is. And at this point in time, I didn't know how fast it was, but it's 282,711. Let's see where that puts me on the leaderboard, and that doesn't even put me in the top 12. 96.10 is the fastest time by ETE Finder Yum, who was an Esports Challengers driver last season. So he's a very, very good driver. Only puts me 14th. But the thing I was concerned with was 8 seconds behind, or just under 8 seconds behind. So definitely a lot of work to do, but the positioning isn't too bad after the first run. So again, I realised that I needed to get past Alonso a lot sooner, and I started to be able to tell that I could actually overtake him before the end of Sector 1. So you can see here, we went down the inside that time. This next time, we restarted it going again, because this really will help our time quite significantly. And then you can see here now, getting back on the race line, making sure we're side by side, gets me done. And now that is the way you want to do it. And you will see we did do that many attempts, but I say we probably did 5 or 6 full attempts at the event between that first run and then what you are about to see now, which is my fastest run. So this was actually the day after. I did 4 or 5 attempts, and then the day after I had a full reset, and then we go again. So now I'm going to talk you through this fastest run, what I was thinking, and if you're attempting this yourself, what I feel you should be aiming for. So coming through into here, it'd be a dream if you got in the DRS zone of Alonso, but I couldn't get closer than 1.2 seconds. I think that's almost, I think it is pretty impossible to get in the DRS zone. So we're not going to get in the DRS zone here. Doing a 20.3 first lap, which isn't too bad. Normally you want to be aiming for a 20.2, 20.3 at the bare minimum. Using ERS down the main straight, but not on the exit here. Be as close as you can. Open up the corner, because then you want to be getting back on the racing line, making sure he doesn't get the racing line, using the ERS, but then turning it off once you're side by side, and then take the racing line going into it, making sure you don't make contact with the AI, because that will deduct points. You can see for my first run, we caught signs on the next lap, but what you want to do is catch him at the end of this lap. You want to get in the DRS zone at the end of this lap, and that was a mistake there. That's going to cost me probably about a 10th going through now, which in these events is very, very significant. So we already lost a tenth on what we could do here. See, going into the 6 corners, hooking the inside. I really like to hook the curb on the inside there. Make sure you don't hit the curb on the outside because it will throw your car out. The detection point for the last corner is right here. So you can see we're comfortably within the DRS zone. And this is exactly what we needed to do. Using all of the ERS here. And then what I do is I go to the right slightly to make him defend, which allows me to go on the racing line. You can outbrake him very, very well, making sure you don't deter from the racing line at all. And now this is where you need to push again very, very hard, because you have Sebastian Vettel up ahead, and you need to do the same as you did with Sainz by getting in the DRS for the last corner. So whenever you make these overtakes on the cars up ahead, you always want to be on the racing line. You don't want to be doing it through the midfield here, as I did in my first few attempts, because you really want to be catching them at the end of this lap. So I'm really, really pushing hard here now. I believe this might be my fastest lap I do, because this is where your tyres are going to be pretty much at its freshest, and you really just need to maximize it as much as you can for the score on the leaderboard. So you can see we're over 6 tenths up. Before, you saw my fastest lap was a 17.0. We've already done a 16.9 on our second lap, so you can see how much we have actually improved here. Now we're going up to Vettel. We've done exactly what we needed to do again. Not catching too quickly, because sometimes you can catch him too quickly. Catching like the perfect time. Go to the right a little bit to let him defend, and then that enables us to go on the racing line. So you have to trick the AI to think that you're going to overtake to the right. That forces them to go to the right, and then you will be on the racing line. Because if I went to the right, as you saw one of my first few attempts, I'd just be losing too much time. So we've done this absolutely perfectly so far. And yet again, for the third lap in a row, you have to do exactly the same with Ocon up ahead. You've got to catch him going towards the last corner, making sure you get in the DRS zone. But you can see, as I said before, in these events, you have to be a little bit lucky with the traffic. And the traffic of Ricciardo is actually coming up a little bit sooner than expected. So he's going to get the blue flags now, as you can see. Really hoping he moves out of the way. I go a little bit wide on this corner. That definitely cost me about a tenth or so. But we're going to be more than close enough to Ocon going through this sequence of corners. I actually think we probably caught him a little bit too quickly. Because you don't want to catch him too quickly. Because you can see going through this last corner, going to here, we actually hit the back of him. Luckily, that didn't give us damage, and that didn't detract our score or anything at all. And now we've had to overtake him to the right. AI is very fast in straight line, but thankfully, we are able to get back to the racing line. But again, I think by catching him too quickly, actually costs me about a tenth or so going through, or maybe even more than a tenth going through into there. But now we've caught Russell, the lap car, at a very nice time. Since we're just under a second behind, he moves out very, very nicely. And now this is where I'd say is the real challenge of this, as we almost spin it on this curb, is that now we have no more cars to catch. And now it's all about just giving it everything for this next 4 to 5 laps. And this is where the concentration really, really does come in now. You can see my ERS is very depleted at this stage. But your goal here, and the goal for me, was to get the 16s every single lap. If I can get the 16s every single lap, then I will be on target for what I want to achieve. So I'm going to talk through this next lap now about where I brake and how I approach these corners, using all of the ERS on the exit. And now at this point, I just use the ERS on every single straight. There's no point saving it because I'm just going to be losing so much time. So braking about the 100 meter board going to here, very late apex. Don't run on the curb on the exit. Use all of the ERS, even if it's under 10%. Just keep on using it here. Now going to sequence of corners, really attacking this corner early. Middle of the track, that's where you want to be turning in. Complete flat out. Use the curb on the inside. As you go up to the top corner, as you hit this curb, that's when you'll be braking and turning in, using all of the track. Aim for the black box. That's when you'll be braking and turning in. Stay nice and tight to the inside. This corner here, just before the curb starts, that's your braking point. Hit the inside of that curb, but not fully mount it for the right. into here, use all of the track. Want to be giving it everything on this exit as well. Coming through into this corner as you hit the curb, that is your turning in point. Try and be as aggressive as you dare going through this corner. And now we've actually got a bit of fortune. We're actually going to be catching this traffic. So now I'm going to really try and get within the DRS zone of the Latifi, which the detection points here. And this is an absolute godsend. This is where you need to be a little bit lucky with the traffic. On this occasion, we were very, very lucky. So we do a 16.8. Now we have the benefit of the DRS. And quite similar to Mexico, as we just had in this weekend's GP, you get a double dose of DRS on the exit. So we're going to be using the battery once again. Every single straight, you want to be using that because you just lose more time recouping than you do than just using it all of the time here. So you just got to be pushing all the time with it. Going up into here, we're about 3 tenths down. The tyres are slowly starting to go off, but you have to keep pushing as hard as you can. Now we're coming up to another bit of traffic. I believe this is actually Max Verstappen, and I was trying very, very hard to get within the DRS zone, but you can see a little hesitation on the throttle there. That cost me probably another tenth of a second. Going through into here, we're about 3 tenths down, so a fairly good middle sector still, despite that little mistake. But I really want to try and get within the DRS zone of Max Verstappen coming through into here. I don't think we are going to be close enough, and that would have been so perfect. We aren't going to be close enough on the exit of this corner. Do we get the DRS? No, we don't. We're coming across the line. It's a 16.6 because we did have that double dose of ERS, and he moves out of the way very, very nicely. So now from here to the end of the race, I don't think we're going to have any traffic whatsoever. And as I said again, I think where you have no one to chase or anything at all, this is really the hardest part. You're going to have no DRS assisted for you by lap traffic or anything at all. You just got to push to your heart's content and just aim to do exactly the same thing every single lap. Cannot afford to coast or leave any time on the table, which is my strength in racing, is that I know when to push. I'm very good at preserving the ERS, and I feel my pace without the ERS is very strong. But in this event, you just cannot afford to do that whatsoever. So coming through into here now, trying to hook this curb on the inside once again, and right here I'm just giving it absolutely everything. Try carry as much apex speed as I can. So we'll go through this next lap. I'll talk through again of how I am actually approaching this. Just come off the exit using all of the ERS again. What do we do now? It's a 16.899, so crucial that we still stay in the 16s. We did a 16.2 as our fastest lap, so I felt that was a pretty decent fastest lap. I think my fastest is a 16.1, but we ended up catching the traffic a little bit too quickly. So middle of the track, hook the car on the inside. At the top of the hill, you want to be aiming for this curb. Once you hit that, go down to 6th gear, take a lot of curb on this inside, aim for the black box, stay nice and tight, but if you hit that inside, you will spin. Go into this corner, want to hit the first part of the curb, so not the mounted part, and same for the second part as well. 50 meter board after that, that's when you'll be turning in. Use all the track on the entry. We're a little bit wide once again, so that's probably another half a tenth. As the curb starts, really cautious going through into here, because if you hit the curb on the inside, it will spin you out. Coming into this corner, as we hit the curb, that's where we'll be braking, hooking the car on the inside. Do not hit this curb on the right hand side. Same for the inside, just want to be as tight as you possibly can. Aim for the black box at the marshal post, do a late apex 3rd gear, up into 4th gear to maximize the traction. Going across the line, it's a 16.9, so this is absolutely everything. In the first event, we only beat the AI by 8 to 9 seconds, I believe. So you can see how much progress we have made by just knowing how much harder we need to push. And this is the hardest lap, the last lap. You just got to give it everything. Your brain will be screaming to not make a mistake, to not get a track invalidation, because if you get an invalidation, you lose so much score you might as well just completely restart this event. But I said to myself here, I'm just going to give it absolutely everything now. We do have a little bit of traffic coming up, so hopefully I don't catch him at the wrong time. Hopefully it's going to give me a little boost of the DRS going to the last sector. But you can see he actually does have the blue flag. Really crucial that he moves out of the way here. And does he move out of the way using the ERS? Yes, he does. So 6 steps down on our fastest lap. Got to give it everything. Hooking it the inside once again. Got to throw everything into this penultimate corner. And we do this fairly well. Aiming for the marshal post. Going through into 3rd gear. Then up into 4th gear. Give everything on the ERS. Nice and early. And going across on what is this going to be? It's a 16.9 again. Did what we wanted. And then the torture is finally over. But as an event, I actually really like that event. I think the AI is spaced very nicely. And it's quite clear what you need to do. You need to catch the AI of Alonso, Sainz, and Ocon at the end of each lap. As you can see, 96.10. So that is within the same second as the fastest time. That's what I did, a 16 every single lap. Is it going to be enough to get number 1 on the leaderboard? And I felt when I was driving that would be enough. I felt with that fastest lap as well that it would be enough. So we're going to take a look now. 293,171. So we've improved by 11,000. Where's that going to put us on the leaderboard? Let's see where it does now. And here's Purse currently P2 on the leaderboard. And how far behind in terms of time? 0.2 of a second. Just over 0.2 of a second by Fine Dium, who's still leading. So overall, I was very happy with that. You can see there is no such thing as a perfect lap or perfect run, in my opinion. I definitely feel there was a fair amount of time still in there. I think a 96.9, mid-9 or something like that, I think is very possible for me. You can see there's definitely a couple of mistakes in there. But that is my F1 Esports attempt at this qualifying. I hope you found this useful. If you want my setup that I used, become a YouTube member of my channel because I have already shown that. Thank you so much to my recent extra rotation members of Moonfall, Dolly Mito, Michael Cross, Cameron Wabble, Christopher Green, and Mark Anton Russell. Thank you for joining the extra rotation club. And yeah, if you want this setup, it is in my Discord as well. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really hope this was useful to you. And I will catch you very soon. Peace.